So let's start off here and take a look at a couple definitions, a couple simplification ideas, and then how to kind of work through this. Three main ideas here we're going to talk, and we've done a lot of these in Algebra 1, but just as a review. Here's some examples of what terms are. 3x. There we go. Terms could be 3x. They could be as simple as a number 4, 4ab, 16x to the 5th, y. Anything that is connected together with multiplication or division. You could have a term that's a over b. You could have a term 2x over y. So, very simply, what is a term? I guess I would say letters or numbers connected with multiplication or division. Okay, that's what a term is. So if someone says, what is a term? That's what a term is in a very, very simple manner. And that's a bunch of examples of terms. Monomial, next little idea. Monomial brings in the root word of mono, which means one, and omial or nomial means term. And so this is just one term. Can you think of another word with the word mono in it?
Monotone.
Monotone, okay? If a opera singer sung in a monotone, they would not have a job for very long. First hour they brought up monotheistic. Okay? When Paul went to the area of Greece and Macedonia, he was fighting against people who were not monotheistic. They believed in many gods. Okay? And so he was trying to bring in an idea of monotheism versus polytheism, and so that whole concept of only having one God was a big issue for him. All right, so polynomial therefore means many terms in a very simple way, and we'll talk about what a polynomial is and how to classify it. All right, degree. Sometimes we can classify you by your age. We classify a monomial by its degree, and so the degree is the number of exponents in one term. For example, 16x squared y. Can you tell me how many exponents we actually have there? X has 2, y has 1, so total, the degree would be 3. So the degree of this one, very simply, would be 3. If we have another one over here, 14abcd, how many exponents do we have? 4. So the degree would be 4, because you have 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So just as some examples of what degree is, and the degree of each one of these is in red. The degree of a polynomial is the highest degree of one term. So if I ask you in here, I want the highest day of the month in which someone was born. When were you born? What day of the month? 7th. Can anyone beat 7th? 19. Can anyone beat 19? 20. What?
Wait, what?
When were you born?
20th.
The 20th. Can anyone beat the 20th?
25.
20 who?
5.
25. Can anyone beat 25? 29. Can anyone beat 29? So, the degree of our little situation here would have been 29. I don't add them all up. I just say our 29 is the highest one. And so we would compare degrees and take the highest degree of all of the terms and kind of go from there. And that's the degree of a polynomial. All right. next little idea, standard form of a polynomial. Standard form means you write it in descending order by degree. So the cubes come first, the squares come second, the x's come third, and the constants come last. Very, very straightforward. So here's an example of something I've written in standard form. You'll notice you have cubes, squares, x's, and x's. Little reminder, anything with a degree of 3, I don't know if you remember this from Algebra 1, is called cubic. Anything with a degree of 2 from first semester, I hope you remember that's a quadratic. Anything of degree 1 is called linear. And anything that does not have a variable is called constant. If you have a degree above 3, Megan, we don't give it a special name. There are special names, and I wrote them down here as an example. The special names for fourth and fifth are quartic and quintic. But you don't need to worry about those. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of erase those. And by the way, you can erase those in Drawboard by creating a white pen. And you can just draw over it as if it was white out. And so we're just going to say that's fourth degree. And that's fifth degree. So anything more than a third degree is not going to have a special name as far as we are going. It's just going to be called fourth and fifth degree. Does that make sense? So we're going to classify something by degree, but we're also going to classify it by its size. So the comparison is, what day of the month were you born, and how many brothers and sisters do you have? There's absolutely no relation between the two ideas. It's just different ways to classify. And so over here, I've got some examples of the different classifications. So on our first one, we have one term, just the 6, and so that's a monomial. Remember, mono means 1. Here we have 2 terms, so that's a binomial. Third one, we have 1 term, so monomial. The fourth line, we have 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. Then we have a binomial again. And then the last one, we have 4 terms. Anytime it is 4 terms or more, you just say polynomial. Polynomial. So, as an example, tell me what this is. Give me a number, Amy. 3. Someone tell me, what is the degree of this polynomial? Logan?
Is it a binomial?
It is a binomial. Okay, so that tells us how many terms it has. Now let's talk degree. Zach, what's the degree of the first term?
Cubic? No.
That is cubic. And the degree of this term? Quadratic. Which one's bigger?
Cubic.
Cubic. So we call this a cubic binomial. The first word has to do with degree. The second word has to do with the number of terms. Vastly different in terms of assigning its name. Vastly different. Sometimes you won't even talk about the number of terms. You'll just talk about what is the degree. Say, hey, this is a cubic. So it's just a way for me to describe something to you. Ryan.
How do you get binomial again?
How do they get binomial? Binomial has to do with the fact it is 2 terms. And I'm just going to write that. 2 terms. And cubic has to do with the fact that it is degree 3. Does that help?
Yeah.
Sean?
So then if it was like if we did the number 4 or whatever, if it's like the 4th degree?
Yes, so this would be called 4th degree binomial.
Okay.
You with me?
The 4th degree binomial.
Does that make sense, Sean?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's move on. So what I have is just a couple simple illustrations for you. In problem A, what we're looking at is we're saying, you know what? We've got to take this and I've got to simplify it first into standard form. And so I always like to underline with the number of lines that relates to the degree. So 3x cubed and 2x cubed is 5x cubed. And then I have plus x squared minus 4x. Now I've kind of zoomed it in so we can't see the answer to the far right. But would you agree we have 3 terms?
Yeah.
So 3 terms, you remember what that is called without looking at trinomial. Now we have degree 3, degree 2, and degree 1. So the winner is degree 3. Do you remember this fancy name for degree 3? Cubic. So this would be a cubic trinomial. And it's written in what form is this called again? Standard form. All right, so that is just kind of an explanation of how they got this stuff out here to the right. Simplify, classify by degree, classify by name. So let's look at B. These are very short. Does it simplify? Can you tell me how? Okay, negative 2x plus 5. What's the degree of 2x?
Linear.
1, and that's the right word, Danielle. Good. Linear. Degree is 1, name is linear.
Linear triangle.
Degree of 5? 0. And what's that name? Constant. So the winner is linear, which is what Danielle said. And how many terms? Binomial. Logan, question? You okay? All right. C. Is that written in standard form?
Yeah.
No,
If you said no, then you have to correct it, Luke. Go ahead.
because it should be negative 3x to the fourth plus x cubed minus 2x squared.
Nice. Thanks for bringing that negative 3 in the front. Some last hour they just said 3x to the fourth. And it's important that it's negative 3x to the fourth. All right, right up next to your chest, put your fist right there. Really quick little verbal, physical quiz for me. Show me what the degree is right next to your chest. So I can see your number, but no one else can. What is the degree? Is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? What is the degree? All right, hands down. Degree is 4, because the 3x to the fourth is the highest number. So it's a 4th degree. And who knows the right word? How many trinomials? Trinomial. Okay.
I feel like we've learned this.
We did in Algebra 1. All right. D. The most important part in D is understanding this minus sign in the middle is going to have a huge impact that we distribute it to each of the 3 parts in the back end. So on your homework, I would suggest that you rewrite the problem and distribute that minus sign. The important thing is it becomes a plus a squared and a plus 5. And in Algebra 1, they don't really get that. And so you guys are to the point where you understand those are fairly crucial steps. And now we combine our like terms. Go ahead and do that. And write down what you think you have at the end. And then if you want, you can classify it by degree and by what kind of polynomial. All right, Peter has negative 3a plus 2 because the a squared's dropped out. Peter, I didn't see you. Did you classify it?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Linear binomial.
A linear because it's degree 1 and binomial because 2 terms. Any questions for Peter? All right, let's move to our last one.
Wait, was that right?
That's right.
That's what I like to hear, Peter. Good work. Thank you, Logan.
All right, here we have 3 things multiplied together. We're going to have to multiply them together first before we classify them. So I'm going to multiply the 2x times the x and get 2x squared as my first step. And then I'm going to distribute the 2x times each of these back 2 and get 8x cubed plus 2x squared. And now I say, is that in standard form? If you had to describe standard form, what would you describe?
Yeah.
What does it have to look like? Does the 8 have to come before the 2?
No.
what has to come before what? The cube has to come before the squared. Okay. All right, so I would agree with that. What is the degree of this sucker? Cubic. And what is the polynomial? Binomial. All right. Last one. Trivia. F. Aaron, when is your birthday? August 18th. Okay, there's the problem. What is the degree and what kind of polynomial? Go. Don't say it. Everybody write it down. A little quiz for you. What is the degree of 818 and what kind of polynomial? If you think you know it, raise your hand. See? Nice. Nice. All right, Ty said the degree was 0, and not only did he say the degree was 0, he named that as a constant monomial. Nice job.
Yes.
Okay. I will try in each of our homework problems to give you the homework box in the bottom corner, like we did last semester, and go from there.